To this week's edition of Checks and Balances TV. Today's program is entitled The Stock Act. Finally, congressional lawmakers are banned from insider trading. So let's see how today's news may impact your financial future. Congress is one step closer to actually having to follow the law. Versions of the insider trading bill, otherwise known as the Stock Act, which stands for Stop Trading on Congressional Knowledge, have cleared both the House of Representatives and the Senate. The House version is reportedly a watered-down version of the Senate's, so both sides will need to work closely together to agree upon one final version before it's presented to the President for his signature. Okay, so what's really going on here? Let's check the facts using our checks and balances process. It's been 6 years in the making. The Stock Act has been proposed on several occasions but never passed into law. It would finally subject members of Congress to insider trading rules and impose a fiduciary duty on lawmakers and their staff who have access to inside information. As of now, representatives of Congress are still allowed to trade stock in the economic sectors they influence. Academics who studied the financial disclosure forms filed by House members and senators found that the portfolios of lawmakers consistently outperform the market. This would suggest that lawmakers have an inside edge with their investments because of the access they have to non-public information. The proposed bill would prohibit members of Congress and their employees from disclosing non-public information on any pending or prospective legislative action relating to any publicly traded company. It would also task the SEC and the U.S. Commodity Futures Trading Commission with establishing the rules for banning congressional insider trading and require lawmakers to publicly report any trades of more than $1,000 within 90 days of the trade. The House version varies from the Senate's in that it omits two key provisions. The first would require people who get paid to gather political intelligence to register as lobbyists and make them file reports detailing what they spent and with whom they talked with. The second provision would close the loopholes that have prohibited prosecutors from bringing public corruption cases against state and federal officials. Unfortunately, the Supreme Court changed the law in 2010, which made it more difficult to bring charges against lawmakers for accepting gifts or other benefits intended to influence their decisions. House and Senate negotiators are finding a way to compromise right now before presenting the final bill to President Obama, who has already stated that he would sign the bill once he receives it. Okay, so now that we've checked the facts, let's balance this news using our checks and balances process to determine what action you should take today. At a time when Congress's approval rating is at an historic low, lawmakers are trying to address what some call the public's perception of crony capitalism. Many are attributing the CBS 60 Minutes episode that exposed members of Congress trading stock on inside information as the catalyst to the Stock Act. The November 2011 episode detailed how some lawmakers were enriching themselves based on non-public information they learned from their government positions. A key example is Nancy Pelosi, the House Democratic leader, whose husband gained access to an initial public offering of Visa stock before it was available to the public. This happened at a time when legislation was set to rein in credit card fees before the House. The stock price of Visa went from $44 to $65 per share, and Pelosi made a 50% profit on their investments in just 2 days. When questioned by CBS, Pelosi stood by her position of doing nothing wrong. Well, I'll let you be the judge for yourself if you think she's being honest or if she has really something to hide in the CBS video clip.
I wanted to ask you why you and your husband, back in March of 2008, accepted and participated in a very large IPO deal from Visa at a time there was major legislation affecting the credit card companies making its way through the House. And did you consider that to be a conflict of interest?
I don't know what your point is of your question. Is there some point that you want to make with that?
Well, I guess what I'm asking is, do you think it's all right for a speaker to accept a very preferential and favorable stock deal.
Well, we didn't.
And you participated in the IPO.
Well, I have many
And at the time you were
investments, but that
Speaker of the House. You don't think it was a conflict of interest or had the appearance of a conflict of interest?
It only has appearance if you decide that you're going to have elaborate on a false premise. But it's not true, and that's that.
I don't understand what part's not true.
Yes, sir. That I would act upon an investment.
This type of insider trading will hopefully come to an end. Our government leaders cannot truly serve the American people if they're set on serving themselves by fattening their own pocketbooks. Another case in point, Senator and former presidential candidate John Kerry reportedly made a small fortune with the passage of Obama's health care bill in 2009. Kerry, who was actively pushing the bill through the Senate, began buying stock in pharmaceutical companies like Teva Pharmaceuticals. He bought close to $750,000 worth of this stock when it was trading at around $50 per share. Well, after the health care reform bill passed, his stock surged to $62 a share. Healthcare stocks proved to be some of Kerry's best investments in 2009. Well, do you think he had an unfair advantage compared to the average investor? There's little doubt that he did. Okay, so what's the bottom line here? What kind of world do we live in where a law must be passed that requires our elected government officials to live by the same laws that all of us must live by? And why do they think they're above the laws they pass in the first place? Our U.S. Congress is one of the only federal entities that does not have a law prohibiting them from trading stocks based on non-public information gained on the job. A regular person like you and I would be convicted of insider trading can be fined up to $5 million and imprisoned for up to 20 years. Yet in clear-cut cases of government officials participating in insider trading, there are currently no consequences. Perhaps Texas Governor Rick Perry summed it up best when he said, "Congress certainly can't be trusted to watch our money, and now it's clear they can't be trusted with their own money either." Our compliments go to Peter Schweitzer of the Hoover Institution, who authored the book Throw Them All Out, which was released at the same time the 60-minute special aired last November. Within just 5 days of that broadcast, the Stock Act gained 85 new congressional sponsors. It's amazing what a little truth and undercover investigation can do to force our government officials to act in a responsible and ethical manner.